Welcome to my channel Trimit Kala. In this session we are going to do the modeling of the human head. So this is the model I am going to create in Maya from scratch. Before starting the modeling process, it is very important to know the facial structure of the human head to understand the topology correctly. There are several muscles which are helping for the facial expression. Here we are going to discuss about some of these muscles. First of all, we are having orbicularis oculi around the eyes, which helps to close the eyes. As you can see, this is a circular muscle. Our topology also has to be circular. The next muscles are the pair of zygomaticus major and minor, which helps to smile. So in this place, the topological direction also has to be the direction of these two muscles. Next muscle is levator labii superioris, which elevates the upper lip. So the topological direction also will be like this. The corner of the nose is very important because most of the expressions are connected to this area. So the topological direction has to be like this. The next muscle is orbicularis oris around the lips, which is also a circular muscle. So the topological direction also will be circular. This muscle controls the movement of the mouth and the lips. We will also concentrate on the depressor anguli oris, which depresses the corner of the mouth, so the direction also will be accordingly. So these are the major muscles we will remember while creating the topology. So now let's start the modeling process in Maya. I'm going to use these two reference images as my front and side view. As you can see, I have created these reference images from different photographs. My goal is to create an average proportion. Here I am assuming that you already know the basic tools of Maya. So let's get started. First of all, go to the front view, click on View, Image Plane and Import Image. Select the front image. Now go to the side view, do the same and browse the side image. Here I think the size of the reference images is too big, so I am changing it from 30 to maybe 10. Also dragging the image towards the y-axis by changing the value of image center y and approximately giving the value 4. Also keeping the front view exactly at the center by changing the image center x. I am doing the same thing for the side image. Now I am keeping the image planes far from the grid so that while modeling there will be no interruption. Okay, this is my scene, and now we can start the modeling from a basic primitive cube. I'm using a polygonal cube, and at the very starting go to mesh and smooth it with one subdivision level. So here I have got kind of a sphere and going to the front view and adjusting it according to the proportion of the reference image. Now I will select these two faces and will extrude it for the blocking of the neck. Dragging it out, and I will adjust all the vertices from the side view so that it will take the shape of the head. Okay, this is fine. And I'll also trace the reference image from the front view. So the primitive is getting the shape of the head. Now let's go to the side view and we'll create the topology for the jaw. Now tracing the jaw with the vertices properly, and then we'll go to the face component and selecting all the front faces and extruding it. This extrusion will create the topology for the jaw. As you can see, we have got another loop at the direction of the jaw. Selecting these two vertices, going to the front view and trying to match the jaw with the reference. Okay, this is looking fine. Now selecting the edges from the top plane, I will slide it forward to create the topology further. I'm using the slide edge tool over here. Again pressing the shape correctly. Now coming to the front view and deleting half of the geometry. Before duplicating the mesh, let's take multicut tool and split the eye socket. Here at the block-in only, I am trying to create my topology so that later on very easily we'll get all the loops at its place. Now go to the mesh and then mirror option box. The object is there in the positive x direction, so I have to create the object in the negative x direction. So I am selecting the negative x side and mirror it. A little modification with these two edges. Now going to the face component and selecting these two faces and extruding it in the global axis, scale it down and keeping the faces in between two lips. Now adjusting it a little bit. This is going to be the separation area of the two lips. Okay, so once again going to the front view, selecting the half and deleting it. Now let's insert couple of edge loops and modify the topology. Go to the insert edge loop option box and click on insert with edge flow. So automatically the edges will be circular. Give one edge loop at the side of the mouth and another edge loop in the forehead, and now I am connecting these two edge loops. This is going to be the topology if you can remember the zygomatic major and minor area. Now select the object and go to duplicate spatial option box. Make sure the instance is on and X scaling will be -1. So both these sides will be working simultaneously. Now let's work with the lips area. I'm selecting these two faces and will delete it just to separate the upper lip and the lower lip. Now here I am going to insert an edge loop, and I have kept the edge loop in my shelf, and here I have given the edge loop. Here actually I have created the room for the eye socket, so selecting all the faces and I'm going to extrude it. Again selecting the extrusion from the shelf itself. Now in the global axis, scale it down. Again going to the front view. Now my job will be with these vertices, I have to trace the eye shape. So let's do it quickly. This is fine. Now selecting the vertices, again I'll try to make the eye shape a little bit circular. Selecting the faces from the eyes and deleting it for now. On this stage I will concentrate on creating the topology, so that later on I just need to insert the edge loops and everything will be done for me. Here I have given one edge loop for the eye, modifying the lip area a little bit. I'm going to delete this edge just to avoid the 5 valency from that corner vertex, and I'll extend this edge loop up to the back, deleting the bottom faces. I don't need it for now. Adjust the next shape. Okay, this is fine. Now I can extend this loop by splitting in between, and I will also slide the edges just to equalize it, and in between creating the room for the cheek loop. I'll split this area. Okay, so now everything is fine. Now going to the front view and giving a circular loop at the base of the nose and a side loop which will extend up to the back. I am also giving another edge loop from the eye, and all these three loops will be connected at one point. Okay, this is looking fine, and you can see I have got the direction of the muscles zygomatic major and minor. A little modification in this area, and I'm going to insert another loop at the back to equalize the topology a little bit. Now it's the time for nose block in, and I'm selecting these two middle faces. You can see this is the height of the nose, and I'll go to the side view and will extrude it. At the connecting point, two faces will be created by default. You can see in the X-ray mode. I'm selecting these faces and I'll delete it. Coming to the side view, and we'll trace the nose with the vertices. Also, by selecting the edges, giving it a circular shape. Okay, this is looking fine. Now let's check the corner of the nose. Selecting this vertex and going to the front view and checking its position. Now come to the side view and reposition the vertex. A few more modifications and then we'll directly go for the lips. Now coming to the front view and taking the multi-cut tool, and I will trace the lips by splitting the edges. So you can see I have got the outline of the lips. Now coming to the side view, and by selecting the vertices, I'll trace the lips from the side view. So this will be the block-in of the lips. After the block-in, I'll come back to the nose, to the lips once again for a better block-in or detailing. Here I am adding another edge loop just to extend up to the lips. Now taking the multi-cut tool and we'll split the lips. For the lower lip also, I am adding another loop at the same place. Here I am having couple of edges for the lips. Now it's time to equalize those edges by slide edge loop tool. Now moving to the side view, and we'll insert an edge loop for the nose wings. Here I'll be adding a couple of edge loops to block in the nose. So now selecting the vertices, I will rectify the shape or the proportion. Now adding another edge loop at the nose bridge. Again, by sliding, I am equalizing the edge. That's fine. Go to the side view and let's check the position of these edges. Okay, it will create the lower lip. Now I'm going to add another edge loop to block in the nose wings. Also a cross loop for the wing. Okay, now from the side view we can give the shape of the wing. We can trace it. From the front view also, I am trying to rectify the shape. Now selecting the faces of the nose wings and extruding it and scale it down to exaggerate the wings. In this area, a couple of adjustments by sliding the edges and vertices. Our next job will be to sharpen the corner of the nose. So for that, an edge loop around the nose by splitting it. With this, I have created some triangles and some pentagons. Now my job will be to rectify it. So selecting this edge, going to edit mesh and collapse. So you can see the edge has been converted into a vertex. Deleting this edge, and I will insert another edge loop in this area, and by splitting I'll continue this edge up to the corner of the nose wings. And this will be the topology. Also inserting another edge loop from the opening of the eye to continue this open edge. So I am closing it by splitting. After a few modifications, let's solve this triangle. So I am selecting this edge and spinning it. Here I am going to split this area to convert this triangle into a quad. So now you can see this triangle is a quad and we are getting nice topology for the nose wings. At the bottom also, by splitting the edges, I am creating a better topology. Okay, that's looking fine. Now I am equalizing the edges. Now moving towards the forehead and inserting another edge loop in this area. You can see the distance is too much, and now quickly I will equalize the vertices and edges and will rectify the shape of the head a little bit. Now coming to the eye socket, inserting one edge loop because the height is too much, and inserting another edge loop at the corner of the eye. And now my job will be to equalize all these edges by sliding it. Now let's modify the topology of the nose a little bit. So deleting this edge loop, and I am continuing this edge towards the front. Also deleting that edge loop, I am inserting another loop and I am splitting this area, spinning this edge and I'm splitting it, and you can see all these faces are quads, and now my topology is much more simplified. Yes, I have got a better topology over here. I will also modify the topology of the forehead, so deleting this edge, and I'll continue this edge as an edge loop. Here my plan is to shift all the edges towards the right, so I am splitting that way. Okay, this is looking fine. So let's see what we have got so far from this model. So this is orbicularis oculi. This is the topology of the zygomaticus major and minor, and this is the corner of the nose. So this topology already we have got so far, and let's move on to the next step. Because my topology is ready, I am going to add a couple of edge loops at the forehead, at the cheeks, at the neck to smooth the model a little bit more, and then I'll go to the blocking of the individual areas like the eyes, like the nose and lips, and then I'll be adding the detailing for those areas. So here you can see for the neck also I'm going to add some edge loops, and the model is now looking a little bit equalized in terms of the topology. So I will reshape the model by sliding the edges or vertices, and we'll go back for the blocking of the eyes. Coming to the front view, here I am retracing the eyes by the vertices. I am getting the proportion of the eyelids, and also I am equalizing the edges by sliding it. Coming to the perspective, I am making the eye a little bit circular. Now let's create the eyelids. Selecting this edge loop, and I'm extruding it. Pull it a little bit in the y-axis, local y-axis, and selecting this loop, entire loop, and again extrude it, pull it out, and this is going to be the eyelids. Now selecting these two edges, going to the front view and tracing the upper eyelid. Similarly, by selecting these three edges from the lower eyelid, and have to trace the lower eyelid. Now sliding the edges from the corner to give it a volume, both the corners, inside and outside. And you can see I'm getting the volume of the eye. Now a little adjustment with the vertices and the edges. Now selecting the innermost edge loop and extruding it and pulling it inside, scaling it up. I'm trying to make it a little bit circular, and this will be the eye socket, and inside this volume the eyeball will be created. I'm extruding it once again, pulling it inside and scale it down. If you want, you can make it an exact circle. This will serve the purpose for me. Here I am creating a new layer from the channel box, creating a polygonal primitive sphere and keeping it in that new layer, and this sphere is going to be the eyeball. Now I am placing the eyeball at the position of the eye. For now, first I will properly position one eyeball, and later on I am going to duplicate it. I am changing the layer mode into reference so that I cannot select the eyeball in the viewport, and I can adjust the eyelids and can make it a little bit circular. So by selecting the components, I am tweaking the eyelids according to the eyeball. Okay, so this was the blocking of the eyelid. Now I am changing the layer mode from reference to the normal and selecting the eyeball, going to the front view, and by pressing insert I am also holding X, snap to grid, that is the button of the snap to grid, and changing the pivot point to the center line. Now I am going to freeze all the transformation value of this eyeball, so going to the modify and freeze transformation. You can see all the values are freeze now. Now hit Ctrl D to duplicate this eyeball, and X scaling -1. I need this eyeball in the negative side. This is all right. Now let's block in the nostril. So in the nostril area, I'm selecting the faces of the nostril, these three faces, and edit mesh and extrude. I'm scaling it down and pushing it inside a little bit. Now according to the shape, I need to adjust it by scaling and by tweaking the components. Selecting these three faces once again, extruding it, and in the global axis pushing it inside. Pushing it more and sliding it inside, scaling it down, and delete it. I can see the nose bridge is too wide, so I have to make it a little bit narrow. So by tweaking the components I can do that. Now selecting the components, again I have to tweak it and I have to give it the shape of the nostril. Coming to the corner of this nose wing and creating a continuous topology by inserting two edge loops in this area and splitting it. Now delete this edge, and by selecting this edge I am sliding it downward a little bit, taking the multi-cut tool and splitting this edge, and my nose wing topology is now correct. I'm just completing all the edges, and for the nostril also I am inserting another edge loop. So in this area the topology is looking correct now, sliding a little bit more, and I feel this is looking fine. You can see continuously two 5 valency vertices are there, so I am inserting another edge loop in between, and now it is fine. Let's move on to the lips. I am inserting another edge loop at the lip line to make the lip line sharper. Here I am also trying to equalize the edges around the lips, just to get a room around the lips. Now selecting the corner edges from the lip line, I'm sliding it outside to make this area a little bit blended with the skin. Inserting another edge loop to the lips, and by selecting the vertices I will give the volume of the upper lip and the lower lip. Now in this area let's split the direction of the depressor muscles. So I am taking multi-cut tool and I'll split it. By selecting the edge I am deleting this loop, and you can see for the lip now I can insert another loop. Now that area is looking equalized, and I will split this area. Still one triangle is there, so I will just slide these edges to equalize it, and in between I am going to insert another edge loop. Okay, now let's modify this area and equalize it. Now I am going to exaggerate the philtrum ridges, and for that I am splitting it. If you want you can extrude also this area, but by splitting it will take less time, so that's why I'm splitting it. You can see how I am continuing the loops from the nose directly to the philtrum ridge area, and I have got the topology. I have to modify the components now. Here in this area you can see one extra edge loop, so I am deleting it, and now by selecting the edges I am going to equalize it. I am doing the same thing for the lower lip. I am making room for another loop in that area so that the count of the loops for the upper lip and lower lip will be the same. This is fine, and again I am equalizing this area. Okay, this is looking fine. Now I will move towards the front view and will trace the middle of the lips. So by selecting the vertices I will pull it upward a little bit, and here also I am pulling it up to exaggerate the lips pad. At the lower lip we are having two lips pad both the sides, so I am trying to give the sense of that. Okay, and also at the corner I am pulling it upward. This is looking fine, looking more natural. Now the blocking of the ear and the detailing of the entire hair we are going to do in the next part. The link has been given in the description. You can click on it. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next part.